News channel after news channel after news channel. Ever wonder why they report the same news? This is Wake Up America.
Brought to you by Citizen Stringer.
The media has become absolute lunacy. What makes us different? We just tell the truth. Daily headlines, politics, social issues, focusing on headlines that the mainstream media ignores. Conservative to the core and honest, sometimes to a fault. Unapologetically American. Welcome to Wake Up America with your host, Stephen Oatley.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It is 5:52 on the 15th. Now, we were going to start our live coverage of the Trump rally in just a few minutes anyway, but I have to go live and talk about what's going on in Texas right now. And there's a hostage situation currently taking place in Colleyville, Texas. Now, this started this morning when a man apparently... Now, the initial reporting was kind of strange. So we heard that a man walked into a synagogue. Now, from what I understand, the synagogue was locked. That's the way... All right, so there's so much information about this, and this is the reason why I have to go live. This is different than some of the other hostage situations that happen across the United States almost daily. This one has international connections, and I'm going to talk about them. And mainstream media is now just starting to, we put out an article IDing this hostage taker, who his brothers were, or who his sister is rather, and her connections to 9/11 and all sorts of weird stuff. So I'm gonna kind of run through all that. But early this morning, a man apparently walked into the Congregation Beth Israel Synagogue located at the 6100 block of Pleasant Run Road in Colleyville, Texas. Now, when we first learned about this morning, we were live streaming, I think, the Trump rally, early coverage of the Trump rally, or no, Glenn Youngkin's rally. It had just, Glenn Youngkin's inauguration speech, and then we were just starting to transfer over to early coverage on Citizen Stringer for all of the Trump rally in Arizona. When we learned about this, now this was... It's interesting because there was a live feed going for the first couple of hours of this hostage situation on Facebook, because apparently at this congregation, this synagogue in Texas, they live streamed their services. So they had a live stream going. Now, you couldn't see anything, but you could hear everything. And we heard this hostage taker. He definitely had a thick accent. And he was talking about how he wanted to get his sister. He wanted to talk to his sister. He wanted his sister. He would release the hostages if they brought his sister to him, all this stuff. So, which was really weird. A lot of people were initially just saying really weird things about it. People were trying to figure out where he was from. Early reports that he was Pakistani, of Pakistani descent. It appears that that is true based on who his sister is, and we've confirmed. And other news outlets are starting to. Fox News is still saying it's unconfirmed, but they're talking about who his sister is and her ties to, international terror and all this stuff. So this is crazy what's taking place right now. The hostage taker in Texas is the brother. His name is Aafia Siddiqui. He's the brother of Aafia Siddiqui, who was formerly on the CIA's list of al-Qaeda terrorists with a killer capture order before she was captured in Afghanistan in the late 2000s. Now, some people may or may not know, in the late 2000s, there was a woman who was arrested. She was taken to a long story short, she ended up shooting, according to the U.S. government, she ended up shooting at several U.S. military, FBI agents, and interpreters inside a military base there. Luckily, she didn't hit anybody, but she was shot several times. She was transported to Brooklyn, New York, where she was in a federal military hospital for a while, and then she was sentenced to 84 years behind bars, and she's currently, the latest update, she's probably been transferred, to be honest, by now. Latest update, she was in a federal prison, or a military prison, I'm not sure, in Texas as well. Now, her family her brother lives in Houston, and a lot of people are making just stupid comments saying, oh, did he, maybe it's not stupid, but a lot of people are making rushes to judgment on social media saying, did this guy did he cross the border illegally, blah, blah, blah. He was already here. He's an engineer. She was, educated here in America in the 1990s. She went to MIT and finished her PhD. She was a neuroscientist, finished her PhD and her master's in 4 years. And then she ended up having a family and all this other stuff. Now, this is where it's kind of confusing with this lady. Shortly after the September 11th attacks, her husband and her kids ended up leaving. They went back to Pakistan after September 11th. Somehow something happened. They ended up splitting. She ended up meeting some new guy, an ex-husband, or now, well, it's an ex-husband now. She came back to the United States a couple of times, and then she fled again. Now, this ex-husband, his uncle was one of the chief planners, and I can't say the guy's name, but because I don't know how to pronounce any of the names really. But he's accused and charged with being the chief planner of 9/11. So she has direct ties to that. She was named on the FBI's 7 most wanted terrorists before she was captured, and then there's a lot going on. The thing that's even crazier about this whole story is this, and the reason why it's international right now. You'll see some of the news articles now are starting to pick it up. The reason why Fox News, CNN, and all those outlets are talking about it is because this and what happens in this hostage situation has huge implications. What happens on the international side, because people in Pakistan don't believe that she is some radical terrorist, as the U.S. and other people allege. They instead believe she's been scapegoated by the United States. There's been protests and marches all across America for this woman. Now, here's something interesting. According to one article I read, ISIS has offered to trade U.S. citizens for this woman twice. ISIS, the terror organization ISIS, has offered to trade U.S. citizens twice, 2 different U.S. citizens for this woman. So to believe that her brother, if this is in fact her brother, to believe that her brother is going to have any leg wound or leg room or whatever to negotiate, it's crazy. Now, like I said, there was an initial live stream that was on. I listened to it. You guys listened to it as well, to all the people on Citizen Stringer. We heard him saying he walked through the 3 hostages there's 4. There's 3 that were parishioners or whatever you call them, people that were praying or giving service or whatever. And then you have the rabbi. He asked each of them individually if they had children, because he was on the phone with the negotiator, so they were getting information from him. He asked each of them if they have children, of which they all responded that they did, including the rabbi. He then made a statement saying he has 6 children himself. He said he was businessman. He's trained. He's not a stupid guy. He kept referring to when he was in England several times. From everything I'm able to figure out, he lives in Houston. He's an engineer. He did live in England previous to that and had worked over there. Now, you could see, anyone who listened to it, but here's the thing, like, the Israel prime minister has already tweeted out about this. This is huge. This has international implications because this woman, because his sister, Aafia Siddiqui, is such a big news story that this is happening right now. I don't like to go all conspiracy theory and all that stuff, but because this is all happening in Texas right now, it's insane. Okay, we have an international terror plot right now in America where where a man that is connected to ISIS, whether you like it or not, he has connections. Here's the bigger question. Okay, and this guy, she was convicted early in the late 2000, I think 2008 or something like that. She was convicted or charged. I don't even know. I should fact check that. Hold on. Oh God, I gotta highlight her name because I can't spell it. Aafia Siddiqui. Hold on, let me find it. She's in the Carswell Air Force Base near Fort Worth. And that's according to ABC News. And they've and it's not really, because they've had protests outside of there as well. Now, she was born in 1972. She's a Pakistani neuroscientist who was convicted of multiple felonies, serving an 86-year sentence at the Federal Medical Center, Carswell. this is what's crazy. She returned. So yeah, she got her PhD in neuroscience from Brandeis University in 2001 in the United States. She studied and obtained blah blah blah. She returned to Pakistan for a time following the 9/11 attacks and again in 2003 during the war in Afghanistan. Now, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed named her a courier and financier for Al-Qaeda, and she was placed on the FBI Seeking Information Terrorism list. She remains to be the only woman to be featured on that list. And then this is where it's weird because, this is actively changing. Because right now I'm just referencing the Wikipedia page. It's actively changing right now. Literally from the time I read it 20 minutes ago, that's the problem with Wikipedia, is anyone could change it. I'm surprised a bunch of people haven't written a bunch of stuff about some incredibly good-looking news broadcaster that we all know. Anyway, ISIS offered to trade her for prisoners on 2 occasions, once for James Foley and once for Kayla Mueller. Now, James Foley was beheaded in August 2014, and Kayla Mueller, I don't know. She was killed under circumstances in 2015. So ISIS tried to trade for her twice. Now, she was born in Pakistan to Mohammed Siddiqui, the father, a British-trained neurosurgeon, and Ismet, I'm saying that wrong, an Islamic teacher, blah, blah, blah. They're prominent. She moved to Houston, Texas on a student visa in 1990, joining her brother, who was already studying architecture. Now, it's unconfirmed right now, but that brother, who was already here in the United States in 1990, is believed to be the same man that is holding these people hostage at this synagogue right now. That is what's believed to be, because he kept saying, "My sister, get my sister out," and he named her in that earlier video before we got there, before we started streaming it. All the other media outlets heard that. That's why there was an immediate attention that was being paid by national media. That's why Fox News 3 hours ago broke in and started talking about this hostage situation, because there's hostage situations all the time that normally don't garnish national attention that early. Now Fox News has it on repeat. I'm sure if I tune in right now to Fox News, yeah, they're still talking about it right now. Hostage situation underway at synagogue in Texas, because this is huge. I don't know whether they're talking about it, crazy. Anyway, she attended the University of Houston, where friends and family described her interests being blah, 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 religion and coursework, blah, blah, blah. She got married, had a couple of kids. She got divorced because she had a, quote, overwhelming devotion to activism and jihad, according to her husband, Khan. She temporarily moved away from her husband. He threw blah, blah, blah. According to her husband, Khan, after the 9/11 attack, she was adamant that the family leave the U.S., saying that their lives were in danger if they remained. Once back in Pakistan, they demanded the family move to the border with Afghanistan, and he work as a medic to help the Taliban fight against America. He was reluctant to disobey his parents, who opposed his move, blah, 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 blah. By this point, the FBI was questioning her former professors and other associates. In May 2002, the FBI began questioning Siddiqui and her husband regarding their purchase over the internet of $10,000 worth of night vision equipment, body armor, and military manuals, including the anarchist arsenal, and a bunch of other stuff. He claimed that they were for hunting, body armor for hunting. Okay. Apparently, they had an appointment to meet with an FBI agent, but then they fled. In June of 2002. And then they got divorced. So Siddiqui left for the U.S. On December. So she actually came back to the U.S. in 2002, which is weird. Returning in 2003, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to read this live while we're going through. And then it's just really weird. The FBI wanted her for questioning in 2003. She ended up disappearing. She disappeared between March 2003 to July of 2008. And this is where a lot of she makes allegations that she was held captive in Bagram Air Force Base by U.S. military and FBI and CIA and all that stuff, which is disproven. She was arrested apparently in Pakistan when people thought it was weird because she was plotting on a map. And according to what I read before, they find it really, the Pakistani people found it really odd that she could read, because that wasn't something that women could do apparently in Pakistan based on the one thing that I read. She ended up being arrested by Pakistani officials and then handed over to the United States. She was then locked up in the jail there, or in a military prison in Afghanistan while this was all going on. And then this is where it gets really weird, because where she was shot and where she got her charges for being locked up now, she was apparently inside this prison hospital or something. She was behind a curtain. A U.S. soldier ended up putting his M4 on the ground, unknowing that she was there. She apparently darted out from behind this curtain, grabbing the weapon and shooting at the military. It was U.S. Army captain, someone else with a U.S. Army, 2 U.S. Army interpreters, and 2 FBI agents that were in Afghanistan to interrogate her. She didn't hit any of them. Even Fox News just reported this as well, that an interpreter actually stopped that attack, and then a U.S. Army service member shot her several times in the stomach. She was placed in a hospital and brought back to the United States around 2008. What's really weird, I'm trying to just see some other stuff. There's just so much, man. There's so much. She was arrested in 2008 in Afghanistan, actually. There are conflicting accounts, blah, blah, blah. See, this is rapidly changing because now she's in the news again, so everyone's changing this around. On August 4th, she was placed in an FBI jet and flown from Afghanistan to New York City. She refused to appear for arraignment, blah, blah, blah. She was given, the trial lasted 14 days and the jury deliberated for 3 days before reaching a verdict. She was found guilty of 2 counts of attempted murder, armed assault, using and carrying a firearm, and 3 counts of assault on U.S. officers and employees. She said this is a verdict coming from Israel, not America. That's where the anger belongs. At her sentencing, she was sentenced to 86 years in prison on September 23rd, 2010. She spoke on her own behalf, saying, she said that's where she said the verdict is coming from Israel, not America. Man, it's really weird. Someone said, a New York Times reporter wrote that at times during the hearing, Judge Berman, who was the judge in that case, seemed to be speaking to an audience beyond the courtroom in an apparent attempt to address widespread speculation about Siddiqui and her case. He gave an example of a reference to the 5-year period between her 2008 arrest and Siddiqui's disappearance and claims of torture, where the judge said, I'm aware of no evidence on the record to substantiate these allegations or establish them as fact. It's crazy. So she was held in Brooklyn for several years, I believe, and then she was transferred out. Pakistani Prime Minister in July of 2019. This is how big this is. The Pakistani Prime Minister, Imran Khan, suggested that Siddiqui should be exchanged for Shakil Afridi, a Pakistani doctor accused of helping Americans confirm the identity of Osama bin Laden in advance of the raid where he was killed. He's apparently being held by Pakistan authorities. And so the Pakistani government suggested that they trade this woman. Like, this is huge. This is something out of a book. And I know no one wants to identify her, but my gosh, this is absolutely nutty. It's absolutely nutty. For Al-Qaeda and Pakistani jihad groups, Siddiqui's case has become a rallying cry, and they joined the accused Pakistani government and military of failing to protect, blah, blah, blah. According to a video released by somebody, the head of the TTP, the Taliban Pakistan, the 2009 Camp Chapman attack in Afghanistan that killed 7 U.S. CIA officers was partly in revenge for her imprisonment, according to that video. According to a February 10th report in the Pakistani newspaper, the Taliban threatened to execute U.S. soldier Bo Bergdahl, whom they had captured on the 30th of June 2009, in retaliation for her conviction. A Taliban spokesperson claimed that members of her family had requested help from the Taliban. Holy fuck, this is a huge case. This is huge right now. This, like, I don't understand. Like, this is big. This is a big thing. You know what I mean? This is big. The Taliban, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm hearing audio right now. Where was that article I was just reading? According to, I already said that, in September 2010, the Taliban kidnapped Linda Norgrove, a Scottish aid worker in Afghanistan. Taliban commanders insisted Norgrove be handed only in exchange for Siddiqui. On October 8th, 2010, the Norgrove was accidentally killed during a rescue attempt by a grenade thrown by one of her rescuers. In July of 2011, then deputy of the Tehrik Taliban, Pakistan, announced that they wanted to swap Siddiqui for 2 Swiss citizens. The Swiss couple escaped in March of 2012. In December of 2011, Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri demanded the release of Siddiqui himself in exchange for Warren Weinstein, the American aid worker kidnapped in Pakistan on the 13th of August 2011. He was killed by a drone attack January 15th. In January 2013, Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists involved in Algerian hostage crisis listed the release of Siddiqui as one of their demands during that hostage crisis. In 2013, the captors of 2 Czech women kidnapped in Pakistan demanded the release of Siddiqui in exchange for 2 captives. Both Czech women were released following intense negotiations by Turkish NGOs. In August of 2014, it was reported that the terrorists who claim responsibility for the beheading of U.S. photojournalist James Foley mentioned Siddiqui in an email to Foley's family. Siddiqui was identified in the email as one of the Muslim sisters the Islamic State was purposely willing to swap as part of the prisoner exchange. In 2015, Paul Gossar said the family of Kayla Mueller had been told of plans to swap her for Siddiqui were underway in the months before her death. ISID also demanded $6.6 million in exchange for Mueller. In March 2007, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula leader Qasim said that his group demanded the release of Siddiqui in exchange for Luke Somers, an American journalist killed in Yemen. He was killed during a rescue attack in 2014. And in January 2022, and this is where it's updated now. This is crazy. Oh my gosh. This is crazy right now. You know what I mean? This is crazy. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, this is nuts. I'm getting hot. Hold on, let me take off my jacket. Let me take off this jacket. One second. Sorry. The reason why I cut I was also armed, so I took that off so it wasn't showable. But anyway, and I don't think you could show that on social media. But this is some crazy stuff. Some crazy stuff. Man, I don't care who you are right there. This is some crazy music. Or crazy stuff. I just read someone's comment about playing music while I take off my jacket, you weirdos. Her last boyfriend and... Yeah, I already said that. No, her ex-husband had ties to the 9/11 guy, which we already talked about earlier on in this. This is, oh my God, this is nuts. And this is going on right now in Texas. Her brother is allegedly, he claims to be a brother, is holding 4 people hostage. This is an international issue. Plus, they protested. Because if something bad happens, her brother's killed, there's going to be a rallying cry. This is not good. This is not good. You guys all know what I mean. Like, this is not good. ISIS tried to trade for her and claimed that several other attacks and bombings were because she's in jail. And oh my gosh, this is really, really, really bad. It's really bad. If you're just joining, you're going to have to go back and watch the beginning of this video. You're going to have to, because I'm not going to go over it all over. The live stream of the actual incident has been taken down. So now media is staged, but they're a quarter mile away from the synagogue because it was believed. And this guy on the initial synagogue live stream that we aired this morning, he said that he he said that he was bombed up, was his expression, that he was bombed up. Because here's the thing, the feed was live. So he hung up with the negotiator, and then his phone started ringing. We heard his phone ringing. We heard him answer. He was talking to his family. He said, yes, that's me in the synagogue. No, why are you crying? Whoever he was talking to, he was yelling at them for crying. And he's like, I'm not crying. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? And kept going off on that tangent. He said that he was bombed up, meaning he had bombs on him. And then he talked about, I believe with the negotiator, about that, or no, to that person that was on the phone, which was not a negotiator. I think it was a family member. He was talking about how he was thankful that the rabbi opened the door so he didn't have to shoot him through the glass window. That's literally what he said there. I heard that with my own ears. And then he said that he was armed up. He was bombed up and he was armed up. And there is reports that he has a gun. Initial reports were that he had a bomb, that he was wearing a suicide vest or something. Those are unconfirmed. Media now is reporting that he at least has a weapon, and my guess, because they haven't gone in yet, here's the thing. He's got 4 hostages right now. He either, one, is strapped to a bomb, so they're trying to save him, or secondly, they are so worried about international implications with this that they're trying to negotiate it. Do you know what I mean? Someone said, simmer down, which city? Are you just tuning in? Because I can't go over the whole story again. It's Colleyville, Texas. Colleyville, Texas. He definitely had an accent, but again, anyone could trace this. This guy's lived here for a long time. There's rumors that he came across the border. All of that's not true. Here's a question for me, though. If you know from me to the FBI, if you know his sister was on the 7 most FBI most wanted terrorist list and is in custody for, committing terror, and people tried to get her, blamed her on, or used, what the hell's the right word? When they kill people on behalf of her because she's locked up, the Taliban and Al-Qaeda has done that numerous times and said that was in response to her being locked up. Why wasn't her brother under investigation, like constant 24-hour surveillance? Because I read these complaints where they go after the J6 defendants before they arrest them, where they're under 24-hour surveillance. How come this brother wasn't under surveillance? It's crazy. It's crazy, man. I hate when people do the false flag stuff, so let's not talk about that. Because this apparently is not a false flag right now. You know what a false flag is? Whatever the United States is plotting in Russia. Someone said Colleyville is Texas, about 10 to 20 minutes away. Steve Marley with a $5 super chat. Thank you. I think that's the first super chat that we've had in years. Years, I think it's been. He said, FBI is too busy chasing white supremacists. Yeah. Michael Tatner on Facebook said, we don't negotiate with terrorists. That's true. Michelle said, FBI is too busy going after real Americans. Also true. But man, it's crazy. Someone said, we'll find out afterwards how the brother is on the FBI watch list. That's how things play out. Yeah, usually. And I'm surprised. Someone said CNN was covering this. I'm surprised that CNN is covering this, considering it doesn't involve a white male. And I know a lot of people will be, why are you saying that, Steve? Well, because it's just history. Let's look. Let's see what CNN is playing, shall we? We shall. Dismiss. Let's go over to live. I can't show. I am going to show the Trump speech. Actually, let me check on that because it's been a little bit. They're still not doing anything. They're still packing everybody in there. Now, Trump is not set to speak for another 2.5 hours, and it doesn't appear that any speakers are there. I will cut social media and restart it when we do the rally. Donald Trump's speech, however, will not air on social media. Actually, you know what? Yeah, just go to, if you have a Citizen Stringer membership, go watch over there. If not, go to citizenstringer.com/watch. And then you'll be able to watch Trump for free. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you have a Citizen Stringer membership, go log in through that app, and then you can use the chat there. Or if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Where's that audio? All right, so that's I forgot what I was doing. What was I doing before? I don't even remember. God, what a day. What a day. Someone said it's on Newsmax too. Yeah, but who cares about Newsmax? They're fake. You know, Newsmax is the one that mandated vaccines for their employees instead of fighting it. So, no, so did Fox News. You know, I'm not a big fan of them either, but I like to be honest, and that's dishonest. You can't go out there and pretend like you stand for freedom and all that when you're just going to blindly follow this Biden administration, if you ask me. And I know not a lot of you guys did, but that's fine. And I know OAN has been removed. Their contract ran up with DirecTV. Now, this could be for a variety of issues. Yeah, CNN is covering this as well. Surprising. CNN's actually covering it. At least 4 people being held hostage at the synagogue, they're saying. I believe it said something about. I wonder what approach. Like, I wish I could listen in and see what CNN was talking about. You know what I mean? I wonder what approach, because right now they have the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Let's listen just for a second.
Fits into that pattern very neatly. The reality is that there's a reason why synagogues, as well as Jewish day schools, Jewish community centers, Jewish communal offices.
I don't know what they're talking about now. And I know a lot of states, I think Philadelphia, their mayors put out statements. I think New York has as well. But I think Eric Adams put out a statement saying they're watching their synagogues there, which a lot of people are. I'm surprised that that I'm not seeing military there yet either. You know, it's so far it's SWAT, but I'm not seeing any military. Definitely SWAT are there. Definitely FBI. SWAT team is there. I wonder if the guy's got bombs on him, you know, and I don't know. I'm not law enforcement, so I can't. They got bomb squad there. What EOC, isn't that bomb squad? I don't know. Also, we will be in Texas ourselves. I'll be down in Texas not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. So Donald Trump has another rally in Conroe, Texas on the 29th. And the whole Citizen Stringer crew will be there, or almost all of us. Myself, Adam, April, and whoever else wants to come. And hopefully you guys make it too, because that will be great. So we'll be there. I'll have the IRV and the trailer and all that stuff. MSNBC, but they tried to cover up who he was, someone else said. Conroe's where you live, Sherry. Good, we'll see you down there. North of Houston, yep. Why was the synagogue targeted? Probably because the terrorist thinks Israel levied her sentence. Well, again, we already know that because at her sentencing, she said this isn't America, this is Israel that was doing this. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. This whole thing is going to be sad. But I hope all of you guys go. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover the right now, we just have RSBN's feed up for... on our 24/7 channel, citizenstringer.tv. And if you don't have a membership, go over to citizenstringer.com/watch. Ow! I just cramped. Go back over there and citizenstringer.com/watch. And you can watch live. I'll probably interrupt that, but I'm not going to go live on social media because, one, social media keeps censoring everybody anyway. And secondly, we have our own platforms. Let's use them. So you guys can go and watch on citizenstringer.tv or citizenstringer.com/watch. I prefer you go to citizenstringer.tv. We have a great chat in there with a bunch of great people. So yeah, we'll see you. I'm going to be broadcasting that over there. Everyone